Welcome to Golden Blue, everybody, home of the college football fan. And don't forget about the checklist. Hat check, sunglasses check, Pepsi check, notes check, sources check, and thick skin is a check. And don't forget to sing gear to represent your team and yourself in my background. Send it to P.O. Box 360, Liberty, South Carolina, 29657, and get yourself a shout out. On to the next video. Hey, you already know what time it is, so might as well sit down, brace yourself, and buckle up because you are entering the speculation zone. One thing is becoming increasingly clear as the days go by, and that is, I'm going to need more shelves. I mean, look at this, guys. I am running out of room for these mini helmets. And that's a good problem to have. That's good. Waiting on income tax. I can buy all the supplies for all that because, trust me, it does cost a lot of money. So we're going to get the supplies. We're going to designate a Saturday, maybe a Friday and a Saturday, and we're going to extend the shelving all the way over to the other door over there. And we're going to do a top 25 shelf, and we might have to add another shelf underneath the total shelving that we have already. We have 74 mini helmets. You guys have absolutely blown me away. But one of the mini helmets that we don't have is San Diego State. I'm just saying, we don't have it yet. And that's the subject of today's video. San Diego State, in case you're wondering, these are the teams that we don't have represented for the mini helmets. As you can see, we actually have quite a few big brands that's not represented here at Golden Blue. So get your team represented here on Golden Blue. I do think that San Diego State is definitely a focus for the Pac-12 as far as continuing to exist. And I also know that the Big 12 has also talked to San Diego State. Do they decide to join the Pac-12? Because the Pac-12 wants San Diego State. There is no doubt about that. Or do they end up joining the Big 12 because the Big 12 convinces them, hey, the Pac-12 is not the way to go. That's a dying conference. We actually do want you because you have the SoCal market, and we want that. There's a great footprint over there, so why don't you join the Big 12 and make more money? So we could have a little bit of a tug of war between the Pac-12 and the Big 12 for San Diego State. And today's Get It Gang video I did does come from SDSU Aztec. And if you don't know what the Get It Gang is, it's basically a name that I came up with for the group of people that leave video ideas in the comment section of my videos. So if you think that you have a good video idea, leave it in the comment section of my videos, and I just might use it on my next video. Like I said, this is from SDSU Aztec. Here's what he has to say. Time is a great equalizer, and I agree. That is in all walks of life. This video would not have been done 6 months ago, talking about Boise State, possibly San Diego State being in a tug of war between the Pac-12 and the Big 12. I talked about that yesterday. I've commented on elements of this video here and on other venues. The SoCal market, the Big 12 G5 exclusion clause, and exceptions being made for the right teams. Adding SDSU or San Diego State to the Big 12 to likely kill the Pac are but a few laughed at comments from months ago. I certainly didn't laugh at it. I know that any possibility exists out there. Yet here we are. Also, remember, SDSU and Boise State briefly left the Mountain West Conference together to go to the AAC when Texas, Oklahoma left the Big 12. Then they came back to the Mountain West Conference together, with the thinking emoji. People laughed then, also 6 months ago, but not now. I'm keeping receipts. I don't see Boise State in the Pac, but SDSU/Boise State/Fresno State in the Big 12. Yes, that would really hurt the Pac. Nothing remotely in SoCal would remain for the Pac to add. That would be inexcusable. Your mark knows that. So does the Pac. Weekly ad, dollar-wise, that would be a huge void for the Pac. 100% agree. That's why last night in my live show, I criticized the Pac-12 for looking at and considering Colorado State and SMU. Those two don't add any value whatsoever. I know SMU gives you a footprint in the state of Texas, and that does have some value right there. But as far as actually adding revenue to the TV deal, neither one of those teams do anything. But I do like the San Diego State addition. I would also think that the Pac-12 would want to get Fresno State because remember, they lost UCLA and USC. And no, getting Fresno State and San Diego State doesn't make up for that loss, but it does soften the blow. So I do like the decision of the Pac-12 to try to talk to San Diego State to try to add them. However, Brett Yormark is trying to starve off the Pac-12 effectively. So he's trying to do two things at the same time. Number one, he's trying to pick off teams from the Pac-12. At the same time, he's encouraging them to join the Big 12 because he's trying to starve off the Pac-12. He is talking to, the Big 12 has been talking to San Diego State and Fresno State. That would be a massive, massive blow to the Pac-12. They need San Diego State. That Southern Cal TV market, that's really the only decent brand left in that market. Losing USC and UCLA was a massive, massive blow not only are you losing one of the best brands in the entire Pac-12, but you're losing one of the biggest TV markets in the entire nation. We're talking about the Los Angeles TV market, number 2 in the nation, only behind New York. And now the Big Ten has a lot of top 10 TV markets out there. They have New York City, which is number 1. They have Los Angeles, which is number 2. They have Chicago. I think Chicago is top 5 for sure. They have Detroit. I think Detroit's top 20. They have Indianapolis. That's a pretty decent TV market. They have a lot of great TV markets locked in, and grabbing UCLA and USC was just a cherry on top of already a massive sundae that the Big Ten has. Great move by the Big Ten, and it definitely hurt the Pac-12, and they need something to at least soften the blow. Enter San Diego State and possibly Fresno State. If the Pac-12 cannot land San Diego State and Fresno State, that is a huge blow to the Pac-12 and a huge blow to that TV deal. Because Colorado State, SMU, that's not helping. That's showing signs of desperation is what that is. If you would have told Pac-12 fans 5 years ago that you'd be talking to Colorado State, SMU, they would have laughed in your face. There is no way that the Pac-12 would ever add Colorado State, SMU. We already have great brands. Those brands would add nothing, but yet here we are. They are talking to Colorado State. They are talking to SMU. San Diego State, I have them separate from the rest of them because I do think San Diego State is a good addition. But if the Big 12 is able to land San Diego State, that would be a massive blow to the Pac-12. And on top of that, I do think the Big 12 would certainly be able to grab some teams, including Arizona and Colorado, and then maybe Arizona State and Utah would also see the writing on the wall and be like, well, it looks like we do actually have to bulk for the Big 12. They're snagging the teams that we want, and on top of that, this TV deal does not look good at all. Listen, it could go in the other direction. The Pac-12 could land San Diego State and Fresno State, and I guess Colorado State and SMU, whatever. George Kliavkoff somehow comes out with a competitive TV deal that's at least close to the Big 12, close enough to where these teams stay. But what about Oregon and Washington? I'm hearing that Oregon and Washington, number 1, they want unequal revenue share. Number 2, they're not willing to sign a grant of rights past 3 years. That's a problem. How is the Pac-12 going to solve the Oregon/Washington problem? Are they going to end up eating that and just saying, hey, we know you want to go to the Big Ten, so you might as well go. We're not going to give you unequal revenue share. You're more than welcome to stick around. We get a halfway decent TV deal. It is going to hurt us for you leaving, but we can't sacrifice the rest of the league for Oregon and Washington. I'm very interested to see how the Pac-12 is going to at least try to solve the Oregon/Washington problem, because that is the biggest problem that they're dealing with, along with a TV deal that's even competitive with the Big 12. I 100% do not believe they will get a TV deal that's above the Big 12. That is not going to happen, but they could get a TV deal that's at least competitive, that's good enough to keep teams from bolting to the Big 12. And that's what everybody is waiting on. And that is a possibility. I do think that it is possible that the Pac-12 could end up with a TV deal that's at least competitive to the Big 12, and it buys them time. But that's best case scenario. They get a competitive TV deal and it buys them time. But I will say this. I do think San Diego State is one of the keys in doing so. The other massive key is keeping teams from jumping to the Big 12. And I think, once again, San Diego State could be the key to keeping teams from jumping from the Pac-12 to the Big 12. All eyes are on San Diego State. All eyes are on the Pac-12. All eyes are on George Kliavkoff to see if he can come up with a TV deal that's at least competitive to the Big 12. It will be streaming heavy. They will have to cover their own costs. But after all is said and done, will it be enough, including taking out the cost of production, will it be enough to keep teams from bolting to the Big 12? A lot of questions that still need to be answered, but I want to put this out there. It is still possible that the Pac-12, including production costs, can come up with a TV deal that's at least competitive to the Big 12 and keep everybody from jumping to the Big 12, at least for the time being. The problem remains, though, even if he does keep those teams from jumping now, whenever the next negotiations come around, we're going to be talking about this same exact situation. He needs to be planning for the future, not just trying to survive. He's put himself in a situation where he's fighting for survival. Can the Pac-12 survive and keep all the teams, not one team from jumping to the Big 12? Because the hot names right now are Arizona and Colorado to the Big 12. Can George Kliavkoff and the Pac-12 keep those two brands from jumping to the Big 12 and keep the Big 12 from adding San Diego State? That's a separate battle right there. It is an important battle that the Pac-12 must win. They must win the San Diego State battle. So go in the comment section. Number 1, do you think the Pac-12 or the Big 12 wins the San Diego State battle? Number 2, if the Big 12 is able to win the San Diego State battle, do you think that's it? Do you think that's the final blow and teams do start jumping to the Big 12, starting with Arizona and Colorado? And finally, the third thing, if the Pac-12 wins the San Diego State battle, do you think that actually is able to buy them time and no teams jump to the Big 12, at least for the time being? That's all I got for this show. Like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you on my next show.